Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread, the podcast, bringing our content to you. I'm All It Is, and I'm here with my familia. And today we bring you episode 25, True Romance versus The Godfather. I've said it before, but I might not say it again. This battle is one of the best matchups we've ever had on Our Thread. What I believe we have here is two perfect movies. Godfather literally is the highest ranking movie on the internet, and for good reason. While True Romance put one of our favorite directors, Quentin Tarantino, on the map forever, giving us one of his best movies so early in his career, also right out the gate, setting a trend for casting a bunch of huge stars. Folks, I'm more than excited to get into this bracket battle, but let me give a special shout out to tonight's sponsor, Ancestry. Ancestry.com is the world's largest collection of online family history records, making it easy to trace your genealogy, finding your family tree that takes you back generations. Our thread member Savage recently signed up to Ancestry and found out that he is a direct descendant of the Longshanks, the antagonist from episode 24's defeated film, Braveheart. Savage's 26th generation family member Longshank got his nickname due to his tall structure of 6'2", also a tall structure, my dear Savage boy. And this could also explain Savage's nickname, Baby Dick. So start a free trial today at Ancestry.com. Folks, we're in for a hell of a show, so let that Beware intro music roll. Let's go.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. A fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring All It Is.
It's official, old buddy. Who has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Big fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's two of me.
Homework's in, let's begin. My familia, I'm honored and grateful that you've invited me to your podcast on this day of battle. And I ask a question that I hope you do not refuse on this very special day. If you had to fuck a guy, who would it be? And I mean...
Had to fuck a guy. You know, I mean, had to. If my life depended on it, I'd fuck Elvis.
Who would it be? And if that question is too much for you for whatever reason, would you agree that we have two perfect movies here? Cap.
I'd fuck Elvis.
So we both fuck Elvis.
I'd fuck Marlon Brando.
We've known each other many years, but this is the first time you ever came.
I'd fuck Brad Pitt.
This Floyd. All right, let's go. Come on.
Leo.
Fuck
I want you to go out there, and I want you to
I'd fuck a young Pacino.
Huh?
I love you. Michael?
Yeah, I know.
I'm changing mine to Jeff Goldblum as long as I can have him in Jurassic Park on the set, unbuttoned.
Also,
Doc.
interesting seeing James Caan as like a young, handsome guy. He's always been like the old crabby dude in like every movie that I feel like that he made after that. And then see him as like the young kind of heartthrob.
I feel the same way about Pacino.
Yeah, I love
Pacino
that
doesn't
character.
even look like Pacino, which
He
is
doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
like
He doesn't
it's-
sound like him either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange.
He hasn't evolved into the big, puffy, like kind of dark eyes and
Like he's always just has so much more mannerisms. This time he's so subtle and I guess fierce. Real good young man there.
Do you
Think
think that
that-
they had him get punched in the face to have his face swollen to resemble his dad more? Do you think that was purposeful?
That's a good question.
part of
Uh,
the
I don't know that. I was
I
with-
actually,
Oh,
I
well.
had that thought when his face is all fucked up
Mhm.
in that movie. I was just like, oh, he kind of looks like his dad.
It's a brutal punch. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
brutal punch.
I'm
So and it was meant to send kind of a a message
Well,
along with it.
I got a punch better for you, actually. I think we had the best movie punch ever. Christopher Walken throws a jab.
You see that? And smarts, doesn't it? And slammed in the nose. Fucks you all up. Get that pain shooting through your brain, your eyes fill up with water. That ain't it kind of fun? But what I have to offer you...
Ah, it does.
Hey, what about Gandolfini?
Yeah, Tony Soprano beats the fuck out of her.
There's a
which
lot
is-
of punching.
That first punch. Can I get a little spin?
Oh.
And then, hey, look back. No, the other way. And then he punches her, and then he rolls, does the eye roll. It's the best.
A lot of punching, a lot of fucking. Obviously, folks, we have two great movies. I think True Romance is more our generation, but it feels perfect, man. It really does feel perfect. Nothing about it seems flawed. Cap, you kind of were the one that brought us in on this movie. I know you were always had this one as a recommendation. What do you think? Is it a perfect movie?
Oh, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's perfect. I really enjoy this movie. I especially enjoy the beginning of this movie for all the Detroit feels that it gives me. They really nailed Detroit, I feel.
First Detroit movie on the thread.
Yeah, a lot of placement shots where they're showing like on the way to downriver all those plants and shit that smell like garbage.
Zug
And
Island.
everything from the movie theater to going back to his work where he's got that cool empty comic book store. And then his apartment is super awesome. It's like above that sign. I feel like it's also one of the better, sexier sex scenes that you're gonna get, like
100%.
with the cheesy sex scenes in movies. Whatever. This one was good. It was pretty hot, and you got the Prince song, right?
Best bod, man. Patricia Arquette wins
yeah.
it with that. She's gorgeous.
She's beautiful.
Slater.
A lot of
Slater.
Slater pelvic region
Yeah.
shots and like good pube work.
Good.
All right.
Well, I thought there was a lot of really good eyebrow shots too.
Yep.
There's some nice bloody tit in there too. I don't know if that's
Bloody blood tit.
I don't know if maybe that's not good. I don't know. There's some.
Can I ask you guys a question? Do you guys think this is the best Detroit movie?
Yeah, I out the gate, I can't think of many off the rip right in my head, but I love this
Out
film.
of Sight. I was thinking Out of Sight with George
RoboCop.
Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. That's a really good one. Four Brothers is a really good one.
Gran Torino.
Gran Torino is a good one. Didn't age too well.
8 Mile.
8 Mile.
Gran Torino
Honestly,
didn't age well. It's not even that
8 Mile.
old.
I think 8 Mile actually gets my vote. Maybe because just as I'm biased. Maybe I'm completely biased. I don't know.
It's hard to say that because it's only a half Detroit movie,
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's cool that they, what movie do you go from Detroit to LA like that? It's
so visually stark. I really like how they both are represented.
Yeah,
yes.
I feel like of movies too, talking about a good Detroit movie, but like I feel like this movie portrayed Detroit in a really nice light. Like they did it right with like there's homage to better made chips and like you said the scenery.
Sorry, they had house music in the one scene, like late 80s house music. I really like that.
So I hadn't seen True Romance in a long ass time, and turning it on, I started just falling in love with it all over again. And it checks so many boxes for me. You guys have already mentioned, but the Detroit aspect, comic book store, Hans Zimmer, the theme throughout it was awesome. And Balki Bartakamus was in it. I forgot about it. And I loved it, man. And just obviously, we're huge Tarantino fans, and although he didn't direct it, this was his first script he sold to Hollywood. Basically, this movie came out in the same year that Reservoir Dogs, or this year after Reservoir Dogs came out. So this is his basically 1-2 punch, like Hollywood, here I come.
And didn't he intend for this to be his first movie? I did not read that. I was trying to confirm.
So this is a crazy story. I guess now is a good time to get into it. He wrote a crazy long script, and it was this movie and basically Natural Born Killers all was the same script. And basically him and his co-writer that were kind of working on it together, they realized like, yeah, this is too long, too big. And so he broke this piece off and this was the first piece, and then Natural Born Killers was, I think, the front end of what this story was. Obviously, it's a little different and stuff.
So these two were going to be the Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's
Start off
funny
with two
because they
films, I
like
think.
now they would have turned that into a series.
That's what, it's funny too, because they said that this basically like was a mini series, but that wasn't really popular at the time. They knew they weren't going to be able to sell it, so they broke
Shit,
it up
it
into
is
two.
now. Fuck.
Isn't that the other Arquette sister too?
Yeah,
I believe.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
man! Shout out to the Arquette family. They're a talented bunch.
But speaking of it being a Tarantino movie, I noticed, and maybe you guys did too, there was a lot of Tarantino isms. The dialogue, obviously, you know, the allusions to like Kung Fu, Elvis. This is a great fucking burger. The okie dokie doggy daddy type things. The LA radio when they finally get out to LA. A lot
Movie nerdisms, like a lot of like picking apart specific things about like actors and some of the kung fu folks, and the kind of nerdier stuff.
Nobody had really done that, I don't think, until like this movie.
It's fresh. I don't know if I would have been able to pick that out if we haven't been watching these Tarantino movies and becoming kind of these students of these films or huge fans of these films. And so it's kind of cool to draw those parallels and then know where this falls in the Tarantino kind of evolution.
Who's the worst character? Like the worst character, maybe worst actor to play the character as well. Anybody have an idea for what I would say for True Romance? Are just so
I
bad.
hope you do not.
Real
I hope
quick,
you like the Pimp, man, because
now that you bring that up,
that's it. Oh,
Correct
we got to
yourself.
talk about
fucking
this.
Gary
Gary-
Oldman.
Let's talk about it.
I love Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman playing a like hippie thug. I just
He did it so well. Do you know that he ended up saying he'll accept it immediately? He actually heard some people talking outside of like one of the films he was shooting. It was a black dude, and he liked the way he was talking, his voice, and he brought him into his trailer and he asked if he could record his voice, and he nailed it. I think that was the setup that could have been vulnerable, but it really wasn't.
I didn't like it, man. I feel like it's like a dated, like I think like that was maybe one of the worst parts about that movie. And I love this movie, and he's a hard character for me to get past when everything else seems really good.
Is it White Boy Day?
Yeah.
Fuck with me, white boy. Look at that smack in front of my motherfucking
Look, I thought it was White Boy Day.
Speaking of these characters, I just really wanted to. It's kind of mind blown that all these people are in it. We got Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Anthony Hopkins, Samuel Jackson, Brad Pitt, Michael Rappaport, Christopher Walken, James Gandolfini, Chris Penn, Tom Sizemore, and Gary Oldman. That is like
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
And Val Kilmer. Sorry,
Kilmer.
yes.
It's
That's the one that
basically
I.
A-list actors before they became A-list. Right before they became A-list.
Yeah. Christian Slater is probably the only like true A-lister at that time, and then maybe Dennis Hopper was like just like a a
And
formidable
crime.
Right, yeah, but still like, but Dennis Hopper is still like the
For
the
sure.
man.
Yeah.
But everyone else is like, who? But now it's like if you made a movie now, the budget would be 10 times as much just to pay out the actor.
I think Christopher Walken was a pretty big.
I think so too.
He had so much dialogue in that movie. Is actually so much dialogue. And Quentin Tarantino, I guess I got a lot of facts tonight, said that he quoted it quote for quote, and he did it and he memorized the whole thing, not necessarily in one take, but he didn't do any ad-libbing all the way to a T. And he said Quentin Tarantino calls that the perfect scene in a movie. He calls it the greatest scene in a movie. He's like shading himself. He's like, man, I was too worried that like if I gave him that too soon, they would just hate everything after it because it was so good and so perfect.
Yes,
and
that shit was amazing.
When we get to quotables, Cap Walken is going to come back. I want to transition us into the Godfather and ask a question that will this movie always age well? Are we that generation that's mid 30s that kind of still appreciates dipping back down to the 70s and stuff, or is that getting more vulnerable, and is there starting to be corniness? I do have some stuff to say to that, but I want to see what my discussants have to say, and I'm going to pass it to the doc.
So this is kind of crazy. I had this realization last night. So this movie was filmed in 1972 or released in 1972 about a movie in the 1940s. So basically a 30-year time span. This movie came out in 1972. It's now 2021, which is a 50-year time span. So basically, the other movie that we reviewed, which is True Romance, was 1993. That's basically a 30-year gap there, which is the same gap that Godfather, the filming of, was about the time that it made up. but basically Godfather's a 50-year-old movie in and of itself. That is astounding because I feel like it's as fresh and as groundbreaking, and the story, the dialogue, the acting, the cinematography, everything about it was like, if that came out today, it would fucking win all the awards, man. You know, and that says so much for being a 50-year-old movie like that. To me, I get your point, all it is, and I think that's a great question to open up. But that's how I feel about it.
Facts with Doc.
Yeah, I have to agree 100% with that. I mean, it's you think about something like The Wire, like, and I know we're kind of got a little bit of a tangent, but you think about it, like a show like The Wire has such, you know, cachet, as Beware likes to say, around that show. It doesn't work because it's like primitive cell phone technology. It's like weird internet. It's like weird stuff. So if you back it up to like something like The Godfather, where you don't have, you know, the technological nuance that you would have to have in a more modern day movie, you need that. I just think The Godfather is just, it's a masterpiece movie. There's a few things you maybe pick apart about. Maybe the length might be one of them, but other than that, like I don't know. I can't imagine this movie never not holding up the way it does. I think it's almost a perfect movie.
I agree with that. I think another reason why it ages well is because it's made in the 70s. It's still a period piece. I mean, this movie takes place in the 40s. So it's like, it's a historical, the dawn of the Italian mafia in America. It tells that story, which is a fucking important story. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see how it doesn't age well. I can see how it could lose, people could lose interest considering the attention span of our society.
With The Godfather, two quick things. Francis Ford Coppola, actually, his initial director's cut was only like just under 2 hours. And it was the studio that came back to him and said, no, we need more shots of the family. We need more, add more, which is kind of rare. Usually the studio is saying, cut it down. Right. So it was under pressure of the studio to kind of bulk it up. And then two is that this movie is designed to be a two-part movie. There's a natural break right in the middle. Basically right after the assassination in Louis.
Or probably when he gets they're kissing him when he gets the ring, right? I would imagine that you could end the movie right there.
Well, like where they show he does the assassination right before the Sicilian, or he goes to Sicily.
Okay, all
right. All the newspapers.
That's earlier, right?
Basically, where they do all the newspapers, that's supposed to be like a intermission.
I wonder if movies like this actually did have intermissions when they showed them. I think that they did, right? You used to leave the theater, get a snack, like 3 hours.
Got to switch the reel.
What Doc was saying too about add more family stuff. It's funny. You go back to one of our other older films on this list, The Deer Hunter. Big wedding scene. The wedding scene's super long. Me and Beware were talking about how like the length, it didn't bother me at all rewatching it this time as it used to. The things that did bother me in The Godfather will not destroy anything about its greatness. Way too much baby crying. And the church scenes, I think whether they're meant to just like, anytime we've seen a church scene like Christian or Catholic church scene, Mystic River, so eerie. And I guess it is kind of that the baptism scene is one of the eeriest scene because he's putting all of his life against
Murderville.
It's awesome. So
when you mentioned baby crying, it kind of brought this up. I thought about the weddings, which made me, when I was watching it, thought about Deer Hunter, and it's like you're showing this cultural wedding from, you know, a certain period of time, both long way. I think Deer Hunter was considerably longer and like a little harder to sit through. But I think that the real similarity between these movies, both made in the 70s, I think, is that they're really showing and not telling you shit. They're showing you without jokes, without punchlines, without advancing the story. They're showing you their culture. And I think that is a part of storytelling that I think gets lost in today's filmmaking. You're not seeing complete naturalness. When you're watching The Godfather, you're immersed in this culture. It doesn't seem like they're acting. It's remarkable.
Great point. It really is a shower and a grower, Godfather.
Hey, real quick, you brought up Deer Hunter. Shout out to John Cazale.
Yeah.
Right on.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
And also R.I.P. might as well say this because I don't know how much we'll talk about him as a director, but shout out to RIP to director of True Romance, Tony Scott.
Oh, no kidding.
He committed suicide in 2012.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Tony Scott, the director of The Fan, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Days of Thunder, Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State, Man on Fire.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
man, he did a good job. What a weird pass. But it works. Quentin Tarantino doesn't have to. Well, he didn't at that point have to direct everything. He did a great job.
R.I.P. Abe Vigoda as well. We can't let that one go.
Yeah.
Lots of characters to choose from. So if we got to go to both movies, let's do it. And I'll take last. I'm hoping my character doesn't get chosen, but they're all great. So we'll see what happens. I would like to go first.
I'll go first. It's for me. It's Don Vito. I mean, the OG. He's just. I mean, that's like one of the best actors that ever lived, and then one of the best roles that ever occurred. It's just an easy call for me. Dude is such an awesome force. The way that he kind of works his face when he's talking, the tone of his voice in this movie, it's so pure. So it's got to be the OG.
I was watching something about like how he prepared. It was actually like a Francis Ford Coppola like interview where he was talking about how basically the studio didn't want him. He wanted him, and he went to his house, and basically he started stuffing cotton, swabs into his mouth, and basically said, "I see this guy as being a bulldog," and then he imitated the voice off of he remembered when he was younger seeing like trials of some gangsters, and I can't remember who it was specifically, but he had a raspy voice, and so he was kind of mimicking that, and kind of I guess Francis Ford Coppola brought over like cheeses and wines, and so he was like I guess also too is that Marlon Brando was wearing this like Oriental robe for some reason, but he's walking around with all this cheeses and wines and kind of doing the impression and the mannerisms and stuff. And Francis Ford Coppola was recording and brought that to the studio, and they were like, "Yep, get him."
Awesome, love that fact.
Amazing.
Beware.
I'm gonna go with Clemenza. I really like Clemenza. He's the guy that gets things done for the family. He keeps it light throughout the movie. He's probably the lightest part of the movie, but at the same time, he's just telling the truth. I like it when he is showing Michael how to cook. You never know you're gonna have to cook for a lot of people and send you in, and you never know when you're gonna wind up in jail. And I really like him and Michael trying out the gun when he's giving him props for being a war hero, and just the way he handles himself. He's a family man in one sentence, in one breath, I should say. And then one scene later, he's having the dude murdered just while taking a piss. Like, he gets shit done. He takes care of business. And
leave the car. Grab the cannolis.
Yes, I definitely have that written down. He's integral to the movie storyline as well as we'll see in the sequel. But he's a great character. I'm going to pass this one to Cap unless anybody else wants to share more about Clemenza.
Yeah, I was going to add on to that. Like you said it, like he's kind of this, like he's the loyal to the family, but also he is a family man in and of himself. And like the quote that Cap just said, what was it, Cap?
Leave the car, take the cannolis. And it was like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I'll leave the gun, grab the cannolis. Yeah.
So it's perfect. It's like, he's leave the gun, kind of businessman, but also get the cannoli, like my wife wanted me to bring it home.
Certainly very practical.
Yeah.
There's that point too. One of the things that made me laugh when the dialogue that you're talking about, Beware, where he's like teaching him about the gun and stuff. And he's like, yeah, this happens every 5-10 years. You know, it's gonna be a lot of, but he says it so nonchalantly, like, oh, there's a gang war every 5 to 10 years. Like, no big deal, it's gonna happen.
Sorry, we slipped into some quotables before I pass it to the doc. Hey, Mikey, why don't you tell the nice girl you love her? I love you with all my heart. Doc, why don't you give your favorite character?
I've got two. I'm gonna go with one, but maybe if somebody else doesn't grab this other one.
Doc, I want you to do two, and I want to see if I still have my remaining. If you do both of them, I'll be surprised. Let's do
Mine are relatively deep cuts. So my first one is I want to give a Floyd appreciation.
Who's this? This Floyd. Floyd, all right, let's go. Come on.
Floyd is Brad Pitt in True Romance. Man, every scene he was in, he stole the scene. And also too, seeing him in a scene with James Gandolfini was awesome. It was just a great scene. So one of the things was Brad Pitt, like he ad-libbed all of his lines. And so you can kind of see him like he's catching James Gandolfini, and that's why Gandolfini's kind of smirking a little bit at sometimes because he's natural, like, hey, you want to hang out? And I think it's catching Gandolfini off guard. And then, I think it was when Gandolfini leaves and he's like, fuck you, man, don't condescend me and I'll fucking kill you. I love that. You see his I'm cool until you fucking push my button. So his character was actually the inspiration for Judd Apatow Pineapple Express, which I love. I didn't know that fact, but I love that because yeah, he is James Franco, on the couch, smoking. Also one last thing with Brad Pitt, I love this where he's giving directions and he's like, if you go down and then it's like turn right,
turn right, just keep going.
Keep driving.
So good. So good.
Floyd, you sure that's how you get to the Beverly Ambassador? Yeah, man.
And then, all right, so then my other character, again, that I love, and all it is, you opened up with him, is Luca Brasi. I loved how genuine this dude was, how fucking loyal.
And my impression was, I swear it was so much better post-show. God damn it. Oh, that's a great call.
So good, man. And he's honored that he was invited to the wedding because he doesn't, he does all this dirty work for the family, doesn't think he should be invited, but he is. And so he's super genuine, super loyal. And obviously we'll get to scenes, but he's in one of my favorite scenes too. But yeah, Luca Brasi, man, genuine,
great picks, man.
Genuine dude.
Wow, I get to say two. It's coming from the same movie. Easily could have been said. A lot of times I know my discussions probably are not trying to pick the easiest one, but sometimes you just got to pick your favorite. One of my favorites, and I noticed it the second time watching it with Beware, is James Gandolfini. Obviously he's been talked about, but he does rage better than any man out there. His rage acting chops,
You don't know shit about Chop.
are incredible. And it had to be one of the reasons where like he can do this Tony Soprano, even if he doesn't want to do it, this or that. He had so much, he's just got so much rage in him while having such kindness to him, which is how we know he is as a real human, a kind man. And like, what a great actor, and RIP to him. But also, man, Alabama, Patricia Arquette is so fucking good, man. Her tears, her vulnerability when she's like, he's getting so mad at her for the only time because they never get in any fight. He's like, and she just says that's the most romantic thing anybody's done, and she's crying and she gets the shit beat out of her, and she does like Fabulous in there and like Fabulous Blood Tit. I'm sorry, it's just like she was flawless throughout. One of the better actresses we've had in this bracket, and I'd say she takes the win over James Gandolfini, since that was my first pick, was Patricia Arquette, Alabama. Woo! Some good characters.
Hey, can I do my character?
Oh, Cap, I thought you said something. Yeah, let's do it.
It's okay.
Take it back, Cap. Cap, who's your favorite character?
I'm going to go with, just because nobody mentioned Michael. I felt like his character goes through the biggest character arc change, transformation.
Absolutely.
When you watch these two movies, which I've done, and I guess I'm talking about Godfather 1 and 2 in succession with each other, and you watch it to the end and then try going back and watching the beginning of Godfather and seeing Michael in his his army uniform. It's insane. Like, his character goes through so much change, but I think that when I really noticed that he's become what his family is when the first time that we see him dressed in all dark clothes with the big pea coat or trench coat on, when he comes back to talk to Kate, and we see his tongue work magic with her, because he's already gone off and married somebody else and had lived a whole essentially start over life, and then come back, immediately just ask Kate to marry him. And you kind of see how he's become really good at manipulating people. I also really think it would be cool to be able to like just go ask the father of any beautiful woman that you fell in love with if you could marry that girl, and for that to work out would be awesome. But another quick mention, I did want to mention Sonny.
Got to.
Sonny's character, I think, exists to show what poor leadership represents, because when he steps in to take over the family, he's an awesome character. Don't get me wrong, but like he's way too aggressive. He's making bad, hot-headed moves. They're way unlike his father. He's not listening to the counsel of
Tom Hayden.
Yes, Tom Hayden. Another shout out. Great, fucking awesome character. Yeah, but one of the scenes that James Caan gets the call that his sister's been beat up again, and he gets the call and he just goes, "Son of a bitch, son of a bitch." You know, and then he just fucking hangs up. And I hate the way he dies. It sucks. It kind of breaks my heart. But him beating up his sister's husband in front of everybody,
middle of the road. Yeah.
throwing trash on. He bites his knuckle. It's great.
Throwing air punches.
Yeah. There's some bad. Yeah, there's some bad air punches in that part.
The sound could be one thing you could say about The Godfather too, is that there is some sound issues, but it's whatever. Go ahead, Doc.
One quick thing that I read about The Godfather and the Sons is that, one, you're right, Cap, like Sonny is machismo, dialed up. He had some pre-workout, before, he took
Jungle Juice pre-workout. Yeah.
But what I heard though is that, and this is, for interpretation, or maybe this was intentional, but each of the sons represents a part of Don Vito Corleone. Sonny is obviously the macho, brazen, aggressive aspect of the Don. Fredo is the sympathetic kind of doofus, but kind of emotional, kind of heartfelt. And then Michael is the smarts, the brains, the strategy. Don Vito is encapsulated of all three of those, but then each of the sons kind of inherited one of those specific traits.
That's really cool. Great characters. Yes, nobody had some steals. We covered both movies. Gotta love that. Shout out to is it Apollonia? Best Bad Contender. She's beautiful, and she's really good, and she'll make a good American wife. We're gonna go into Doc. Yeah, I mean,
R.I.P.
It's R.I.P.'s tonight. Doc, why don't we go into your favorite scene?
So my favorite scene is when Luca Brasi they try to go to the Tattaglia family and kind of infiltrate it and get some information about what's going on. And he goes to the bar, and you can tell the Tattaglia dude is just not feeling it. And poor Luca is basically kind of being set up, and he's walking into his own death. But he's so loyal, he's willing to do it. But when he gets the fucking knife slammed down in his hand and the choke, and just his eyes, like that scene is so like, but it's so intense too. And then
that's when my kids came downstairs. Was when, and I had to pause it, and it was frozen with Luca Brasi with the Garrett around his neck, and then his eyes just all bugging out.
Savage is a savage. A savage.
Sleep well, kids.
Did you say it's okay? He's just masturbating.
So real quick, that scene inspired George Lucas to have one of the enemies in Star Wars be killed, similar to that. Does anybody know what scene I'm talking about?
Wow, it's always Star Wars. I know it's been used in so many movies.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Throwing the chain around the neck.
Oh yeah, Jabba the Hutt.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah.
So
Star Wars savage.
So that leads up to Solanzo, like he's not going away, and so we gotta do something about him. And Cap, you talked about seeing Michael in kind of all dark, like that was kind of his character kind of arc. I feel like some of the first signs that we start to see of him is where he plots out like, here's how we're gonna do it. And you start to see like, oh shit, this dude's calculated. But the whole Louis restaurant, the assassination scene, that shit. And I just want to open it up because obviously this is, the one of the best scenes in that movie, maybe across both movies. But basically the plan, they plant the gun. They find out like an hour and a half before where it's going to be at. They plant the gun. At this point, the tension is fucking building like crazy. They pick him up, they get him to, they have to do the turnaround thing, and so he thinks they're going to Jersey at first. And you're like, oh shit, it's falling apart, the turnaround. And then they pull up to the restaurant. It's a place, so a little bit of sense of relief. What I love about it is that when they're talking Sicilian, usually in the movie, there's subtitles, but at this scene, there's not. And so you're kind of, there's some intense
Notice that. Oh,
exchange,
wow.
but you don't know what's being said. All you're left to do is really just read the body language. And then he basically says, I got to go to the bathroom. And you can tell he's suspicious, but he kind of, frisks him.
You gotta go.
Yeah, the cop is just, happy to be there, happy to be eaten. But then he gets to the bathroom and he's kind of searching, for the gun. And at first you're like, oh shit, is it there? And so you're kind of thinking. And then what I loved is I recognize that when he's in the bathroom and the intensity is kind of building, you're hearing the trains going in the background. And I'd never picked up on that before, but that was awesome. That when he's searching, it's getting really louder, like the train's basically passing right back outside. And then he gets the gun and he kind of goes out and he kind of grabs his head and he's like trying to like steady his thoughts. And again, you hear the train get really loud at that point. And then again at the table as he walks back out there. But that whole build up, that whole scene, and then you're like, okay, he's gonna follow the plan where he comes out blasted because that's what they told him to do, and he doesn't do that. And so he's kind of going off script a little bit. And you're like, is he going to do it? Is he not? And just, I felt like that whole build up,
You have the facts on the shots, and do you know how to kill a man, mafioso style?
No,
you don't.
Talk about it.
2 to the chest, 1 to the head, or 1 to the head and 2 to the chest. And there's a lot of 2 to the chest, 1 to the heads, or multiple chest shots in both movies. Lots of shots. Fabulous scene, Doc.
I also really like in that scene too, or about that scene, the layer to that scene, is how they all like give him his hugs goodbye because they know he's immediately getting into a car and going to Italy for a year. Yeah. Like that's so insane. Like what an insane moment in your life that you're having to just, you're going one path and all of a sudden, nope, going this route. And then the whole turnaround just doubles down on that layer to it. I also, just to follow that thought, Doc, is I really like in the scene leading up to Luca Brasi's murder, where it shows him putting on his bulletproof vest, juxtaposed with Kay and Michael coming out of buying Christmas presents, and they're playing holiday music. It is super good. And they're just going back and forth. It's excellent. It's really quick. It's like a minute and a half. It's really good. I'm gonna roll into my scene, which is the faux assassination attempt at the hospital. Talk about fucking tension, man. Like that is insane. And like you don't really even quite understand what's going on. You just know that Michael doesn't either, and you're kind of riding with him, and he knows that he finds his pops sitting by himself, and like his intuition ends up being right because the police chief ends up coming, the guys roll by, and him and Enzo the baker, him was shaking the cigarette, like so good, man. And when Enzo the baker comes in there and he's able, I'm just a baker, hey, just so oblivious, and then all of a sudden he's thrown in
guard. Yes,
man,
but he looks so convincing when he zips up his coat and he's got his coat up in his hat. He looks Michael.
Yeah,
Michael's Michael, that just shows his leader chops. He's immediately able to take anybody and turn him into somebody of stature, and just being able to put him on a pedestal and make people like cognizant of that. Excellent, man. I love that.
Throws the flowers off the stairs.
Yes. Yeah. What I love about that,
we don't need these.
You mentioned the shaking hand part. What I love about that is the shaking hand, like, obviously he's never been in that situation, but you see Michael's steady hand lighting it again, maybe insight.
Very nice.
Yeah, like I got this.
The subtleties are quite beautiful.
Hey, there was a subtle jump scene that made me jump and made Sweet Amy jump at that same scene, Beware, where you're saying when he comes in and recognizes dad, is like, and the nurse pops in, what are you doing here? That was an unintended jump scene that both Amy and I jumped at.
What did Sweet Amy lose any of her sweetness from seeing a horse head in a bed?
She screamed along with
Hey, a real horse head. I'm gonna go into my favorite scene real quick.
Do it.
So that's my favorite scene. It's gonna be Walt's waking up in his bed. He's covered in blood. He doesn't know why the fuck he's just, in a pool of blood in his bed. He probably thinks that he's been stabbed or maybe went to bed with a big cut or something.
I want you to keep going with what he thinks.
Yeah. maybe he's on a blood thinner and he bumped his knee.
Yeah.
And he reaches out and then you see Khartoum, this beautiful stallion head, in his bed with him. Khartoum, the horse, the stud that's guarded round the clock, has a team of private detectives guarding him around the clock. Luca Brasi and Robert Duvall's character, I keep wanting to say Bob, Tom. They keep
not a problem, Bob.
They end up putting the head, and it's just, I mean, it's such a perfect scene. It's such a beautiful
savage
scene. And that's a real horse head. They got it from a
IKEA?
dog food. Which is just another kind of fucked up part about it. They got it from like a dog food factory, so obviously they're feeding
crazy
horse to dog.
Dogs?
No, that horse meat. You can feed pit bull horse meat. I know people that do that.
I think I've seen a friend of the show with something like that.
Yeah,
gotta go. Can I quickly talk about in that scene prior, the whole California thing? Or that trip to California. I really love the music playing. It's so good. It's so like suave and kind of casual. And when they're walking around the backyard, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize who you were, blah blah blah. And then the director flips on him at dinner, and Tom is real calm, cool, and collect. And
It was the best piece of ass I ever had. He was gonna be somebody.
No Dubbins needed tonight, man. Oh shit, Cap, we got to go into your favorite. There's so much muted laughing there.
Yeah, it was mentioned earlier, but I don't think we've named a scene from True Romance yet. So I will say the scene between Walken and Dennis Hopper. I'd say in a different way, but like both of these movies create tension well. I did want to point out, biggest reason why the tension works in the Godfather scene is because there's a plan. So I just think that in True Romance, this conversation that they have, I think the turning point is when he basically knows he's not going to give up his son, and he at the beginning of the conversation he refuses a Chesterfield, a cigarette. When he knows that he's not going to give up Clarence, he asks for the Chesterfield. And he knows he's smoking his last cigarette, and that's just one of those things. And he goes into that whole thing about the Moors conquering Sicily, and it's just like it's a horrible thing to say to somebody, obviously, but it's like it's the slyest insult that he could think of, because he says, if that isn't the truth, am I lying? Call my bluff. You know what I mean? And then just walking, fucking, I haven't killed anybody since 1984. It just blows him away. It's awesome.
The kiss of death, as Beware said when we watched it together. He gives him the kiss of death. I love this guy.
He almost kissed him. He grabs him by his head. You're a cantaloupe. You're a cantaloupe.
That was his only line of improv.
Yeah. Oh, that's like probably one of my favorite lines. But you see that? It smarts, doesn't it? Getting slammed in the nose fucks you all up. You got this shooting pain through your brain. Your eyes water up. Ain't no kind of fun.
You see that?
Yeah, I wanted to talk real quick about True Romance and the scene that Savage was shading on earlier with the pimp, and the fact that when he goes
house music.
Yeah, when he goes to the scene, when Slater goes to the scene, he's wearing a military coat and he's going to save his girlfriend who's a prostitute, and he goes and ends up slaughtering the pimp and everybody in the place, and it's a complete recreation of the Taxi Driver ending.
Yes.
And I thought that was worth mentioning, because that was also that was a winner on the list previously, and it's just a great scene. It's full of ups and downs, man, and I really do like Gary Oldman's character in there, and I like his assistant, and I like just every dynamic about that scene. I thought it was dope, and the ID aspect of it. It's funny seeing the old Michigan driver's license.
Back to what you're saying, Beware, about the Taxi Driver reference. I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because I identified that early on only because he was wearing that military jacket and kind of had the same haircut, at least initially. And I was like, that kind of seems similar. And then obviously that started the pieces together. Like, yeah, it's a call girl. Yeah, 100%. But apparently Tony Scott, on the first day of like shooting, Christian Slater just kind of wasn't getting the character the way Tony Scott wanted it. And Tony Scott gave him a copy of his Taxi Driver and said, go study this for your part. Wow. So I think loosely that character was supposed to be kind of based on De Niro's character.
Very cool.
Taxi Driver, for sure.
Speaking of his character, didn't that seem like he was doing the coke the whole time? Like, he got way amped up.
Oh, nice. It'll get you high. What? Said it'll get you high.
He just, like, his confidence was insane. It could have just been the love, but
I'm not Joe Cocaine.
Yeah.
That's what he said. I love that. Well, that's a fabulous fact. And all the best scenes have been taken. And I kind of was glad that my discussants talked about all of them, because I kind of wrote down two obscure ones somewhat other than mine for The Godfather. There's another excellent scene is the truth scene, where he walks in, he makes truce with the families, and you believe it. You believe in the whole truth, and you see the respect, and part of it is a truce and truthful. But then when he comes back and he's talking about it, he's like, I've never trusted this man, but you can see he's had the most honor. It's really where you see that the rules are about to be broken, and the rules, well, shit, they had rules at one point. There was an essence and a guide and a code to being a gangster. And I think that's appropriate. It's like the reason they flourish is because they operated off the laws of America just on their own terms, and, kind of fair game, every man for themselves. But the code was broken with drugs. And that was a cool thing, because gangster movies would soon change after that, where it would be more post cocaine and heroin than pre. Fabulous scene in there.
I was just gonna say, like, I agree, man. I think that is again another awesome scene. And then I think one more scene. I think we would be remiss if we didn't say it. It was kind of mentioned earlier, but like the church scene with basically taking care of all the family business, settling all the family.
Man, so quick after your favorite scene too, where it's just like, oh boy,
yep,
crazy.
Basically, not only like the heads of the families, but also the brother-in-law, the Tessio, who kind of betrayed him, and yeah, man, pretty intense in sequence and how it was all filmed.
Savage, it does look like White Boy Day over there for you. It is
Savage,
White Boy Day.
Savage just got a background pic on Zoom up of Rexel. And you know what? He actually came to Quentin Tarantino with the costume. Everything.
What's a Drexel?
Oh, is it Drexel or Rexel?
No, you're right.
He said, God, when
she first says Drexel, he goes, what's a Drexel?
He actually came up with the idea to dread his hair. He came up with the idea with the gold. And I beware of pointing this out. Like,
oh yeah, he's ahead of his time with the open front golds. That's like something that people wear these days, and I never seen that in between then or like really with the past 5-10 years, really.
Absolutely. And the eyeball was his idea too. And he came to him, and Quentin Tarantino, he even said, like, kind of did an impression. Yeah. And he just basically said yeah to him a bunch of times. Like, yep, that's it. Also, an interesting fact with is right here is that that story with the Christopher Walken story of the Sicilian story was told to Quentin Tarantino when he was younger, like a boyfriend of his mother or sister or something like that. So it's interesting. He never said if it was true or not, but it was actually told to him, and he actually inserted that later into the script. Very interesting. I want to do one more scene from True Romance, because I feel like the first time we saw this, when Cap introduced it to us, this is a love story, and the best at that, the fine love story, but it's a very mature love story. But also, how about that scene in Detroit outside? I think it's maybe a Jeep billboard. Could be wrong. It is American, or motor made, American made motor, city made. I don't know, whatever.
The sign says just so we know, the sign says don't wait for the dust to settle.
Oh my God, I love that.
which I thought would probably mean something if anybody's open to interpretation.
Well, here's the metaphor, maybe that true love is confessed out there, and he's, that's the best night I've ever had in my life, and she's crying. I think I got to tell you something. Like, I imagine watching that as a young adult. Like, that's how like love you'd want it to be, like love at first sight. But that was like that made love at first sight like actually that's a true story of love at first sight. It's such honest love. And I think that is why this movie will always be profound, is because of like, no matter how badass or outside the box it would be for you, you want to relate to that love.
Can I talk about the opposite of that scene when in Godfather, the sister Connie is ruining the house and taking all of the dishes and throwing them everywhere.
Okay.
And then she goes and she starts getting beaten with the belt in the bathroom, and then the door swings, and then you don't know what's going on in there, but until the door swings and you see the mirror and you see him with the belt, like crazy style. That's one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Yeah. So I wanted to point that out because that one shot is just out of this world.
Love that, man. Oh, Jesus.
Again, those little touches, man, like you said, that door swinging in the mirror, and I mean,
all that old country stuff too, man. Going back to Sicily with like just some of that
Yeah,
like
the guy on the break
stuff.
having his wine and bread break. Oh, I love that.
Or him, like when he first, like he's having dinner with her and like her whole family, and they go for a walk, and the whole family follows them out.
And then you see the two guards following behind them.
Yeah, you see a couple guards.
I love that.
I got one for you as we kind of get into this. And she's in the car, our sweet RIP, Apolliona. I'll try. It's easier in English. I know in English it's easy. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday.
I had that as one of my favorite quotes.
Okay, I mean, so cute, man. It's like she's not acting. She's just, this has to be how she is. Like, that's acting, right?
We were watching that, and Sweet Amy goes, "Oh, it's just." She's like, "That's just like the Saving Private Ryan kind of scene where the guy's like saying like Betty Boop," and like how
yeah, same thing. That's a good call. Clark Gable.
Yeah, yep. Taking it back to the wedding scene in Godfather with the mom and that really old dude up there singing.
Yes, love that.
I love that so much.
I'm going to derail it further and harp on the wedding, man. The wedding scene is, while albeit 30 minutes long, it sets the stage for everybody. It's that you really are able to tell such a good story and let everybody know exactly what's going on across the board, from Luca Brasi to the Godfather to Michael to Kay to everybody, all the bit players, to Fredo when he comes and stumbles in and kisses her and is just like gross, and like everybody. It's such a great scene. It's beautiful too. Like, it really looks cool. Megan commented on that. She's like, it looks like his Instagram filters. It's not. It's just, it's 60s,
those girls telling a dick joke at the beginning when they're doing it's a dick joke. That's a good dick joke.
Meanwhile, some stallions upstairs with the bridesmaid.
Yeah, right. The feds in the parking lot. Yeah, I love that.
Taking the plates.
That scene also introduces you to Johnny Fontaine, which leads you into like how the family works.
Yeah,
like what kind of work do they do? You get a little taste, and which ultimately leads to one of the most memorable things in movie history, which is the horse's head. You guys bet.
We know that's based on Frank Sinatra, right?
That's what I was just gonna say.
I guess I didn't know that, but it did make sense.
Savage, I got something you're gonna really like. We should have had this always as a topic. Is closed caption quotables.
Oh no!
So, because I know you brought one up a couple episodes ago where the closed caption said something, but that's not this. I'm watching it. We're talking about the wedding scene, and it says it's women chattering, coins clinking, and then Sonny, I'm gonna knock you dizzy. And you probably can't hear it. I think that's why I brought it back and wrote it down, because you can't hear him say behind the bathroom door, "I'm gonna knock you dizzy."
To that point too, basically the attention to detail. There's a scene in that scene where the Godfather's, going, taking care of business. Who else do we got? Who's next? And you can hear the clinking of the glasses from outside of the wedding. Like, I'm getting to kiss. It's just, what an excellent detail, man. That's awesome.
I like how, the first favor that we see at the beginning of the movie is the guy, asking about, taking care of the guys that were kind of messed up his daughter.
Mhm.
And then like you're thinking like he's gonna have to like have some like really bad like repayment. It's funny that the repayment is basically for him to do his job and do a really good job making Sonny not look like a piece of Swiss cheese, essentially. So like do a really good job at your job. Like he doesn't get like taxed with doing anything on under the table or doing some sort of profiteering or something bad. He's all worried about like being in with the Don, but doesn't seem to be that big of a deal like from when it comes term to repayment.
It seems like he takes that into account too. Like he's smart enough to know that he can't really ask anything
he
too
can't
shady
push
of this or trust this man to pull off anything that's too crazy, right?
right. And he's totally ready. He's like, yeah, I'll embalm the fuck out of him. Great.
And
yeah,
that's really important to him.
Mhm.
Like his job is really suddenly very important to him.
Right.
Let's throw around some quotables. I've said a lot of mine already. Some of them have been said. I like when we talk about the scene from the quotable. It's a beautiful thing. Let's throw them around.
Pat, you look like a blonde with big tits and an ass that tastes like French vanilla ice cream, though, man.
All right, then I got one for you. It says,
You saying you eat pussy? Yeah, motherfucker, I eat everything. I eat the pussy, I eat the butt, I eat every motherfucking thing.
Yeah, right? I have to dub it in. And that is the quickest Samuel L. Jackson appearance we've ever have. I think they cut something from
R.I.P.
it. Wow. I ate the pussy ass.
Let me tell you something, my Krautmik friend.
I had that written down too. Jesus.
The doc is in.
I love Hopper, man. Son of a bitch is right. She does taste like a peach.
Oh God, that's
Good kiss. It's an interesting
and he just
father-in-law
goes,
kiss.
What does he say to that? He goes, "What kind of smackaroo is that? What kind of smackaroo is that?" Or how about I know I'm pretty, but I ain't as pretty as a couple of titties. Because right now there's a couple of breasts up on the television screen. You even looked once, and I know I'm pretty, but I ain't pretty as a couple of titties.
I am not dubbing anything in for Cap or Doc tonight. Everybody's had perfect impressions.
While we were on True Romance, there's a part where I'm pretty sure it's Christian Slater. He goes,
Hello, baby.
And it's Elvis overlaid on it too. Love that.
I couldn't tell you how happy I was when I lifted up that dress and then there wasn't a dick.
Oh my God, yes.
My favorite scene, man.
That's when I had written down too. This has probably been said before, but like Christian Slater is based his entire career on doing Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Like he's doing that voice, right?
Yeah.
It seems like to me.
See Heathers for that. Like for that specific line where he does Heathers is that movie where he turned into like this Jack Nicholson thing.
Is he just basically like accentuating what his voice already is? Kind of sounds like Nicholson, or is he just playing into it? I don't know. Because it is thick in that movie. Really thick.
When back to Godfather, when Sonny and Carlo are at the dinner table and talking business, and then is it Connie, his sister?
Mm-hmm.
Connie's saying like, we don't discuss business at the table or whatever, and then Carlo, her husband, starts like kind of like chiming in, and they like go back and forth. Hey, we don't talk business at the table. Telling him after.
And then the mom goes, "Stay out of it.
Stay out of it." Right. Which apparently is like a thing, like where you don't even involve yourself. Like
100%.
all of the stuff that Sonny did was really not what you're supposed to do. Like even infidelity, any of that shit. That's like that's a husband and wife thing. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, we got to hit some classics. So how did he convince him? My father made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yes. I really like when
that's pretty good, Savage.
I like when Clemenza and Michael are fitting the gun and testing it out, and they're going run it. They run down the details so many times with them. Yeah, he told me a million times, throw the gun. But I like it when he specifically says, "You've killed them both. Now what do? Sit down, finish my dinner." There's one scene where Sonny is getting a phone call, or like they're discussing the details after the fact, or they got the plan, blah blah blah, and they get a phone call. What'd he say? Bada boop, bada beep. He said he wants to talk to Michael.
I love the exchange between Michael and Kay right when he comes back, And he's like, my father's just like any other, powerful man, like a senator or president. And he's like, but Michael, presidents or senators don't get men killed. You're being naive. And he goes, "Quit being naive."
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm getting
You
weird.
got cotton balls in your mouth.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I can't do it.
Made mouth they can't refuse.
I can't make my mouth do that when I'm smiling.
You got orange in your mouth. You're chasing around a tomato plant. That's my Marlon Brando.
He legitimately scared that kid. Like that's a legit.
Oh yeah, that kid. Hey, that was the least of the baby crying in that movie though. That was fine. Great scene.
There was a lot of baby crying. You're right. There was a lot of baby crying in that fucking movie. Right.
I can't understand what you're saying. The baby's just wailing into the phone. Like, of course,
That's the one. That's the only one that I noticed. Really?
No,
That
like
fucking
in the
drove me
church.
crazy.
In the church, it's insane. It's like echoey and like it's like
Right.
okay, enough.
You can't avoid it.
The one scene I just saw this in my notes. I'm so glad I brought this up. Is when he's talking in True Romance, when Christian Slater, aka Jack Nicholson, is talking to the director, and Balky Bartakamus is wired and try to like sneak up on him, and like they come to the agreement, and then the director takes out Christian Slater's gun from his waist and points it at him like a joke. Hey,
that's great.
He grabs it so nice. He grabs that gun so sly, like he doesn't have a care in the world. Like it's
Speaking
a prop.
of that dude.
Oh man, he's good.
Speaking of that dude, one of my favorite quotes. I have more taste in my penis.
Hey, while we're talking about him real quick.
He's talking about some movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I have more taste in my penis.
Man, this is kind of a crazy fact that I want to get in. And while we're talking about, so that guy's name was Lee Donowitz. So apparently he is the Tarantino universe of characters of other movies. He's related. He's the great grandson of Donnie Donowitz from Inglourious Bastards, who was Eli Roth's character.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny. That makes sense.
And then kind of another thing too, kind of with the Tarantino universe, is that Alabama is referenced in Reservoir Dogs. Mr. White talks about like he's working with a girl named Alabama. And then the sunglasses, the Elvis sunglasses that Slater wears, Uma Thurman has.
Oh, badass! That's right, man. Easter eggs, man. He's been doing them since the get. That's cool. I love the universe idea that a lot of people do. A lot of these directors too have that universe. King has that. I think even Christopher Nolan has his universe. We're just getting to see it. That they might tie in stuff. We thought that fucking Tenet. Sorry, because it's not left an impression on me. That Tenet was like a sequel to Inception or whatever. But forget that. Let's end it with a poem. There's a poem at the beginning of True Romance in the beginning. I don't know if I have the ending or the beginning. I don't think I wrote it down because it's just the Hans Zimmerman music starts. You just get knocked into it. And right after that, I want to pass it to Savage to talk about that real quick. But if you gave me 1,000,000 years to ponder, I would have never guessed that True Romance and Detroit would go together. Now, maybe I won't even dub that in. Maybe all my discussions today are just, dang, is prescient. I did it. I'm getting better. Savage, Hans Zimmerman, if you maybe see this movie for the first time, especially recommending it to somebody like
Hey, hold on. It's Hans Zimmer. It's just Hans Zimmer.
Well, we'll keep that in there too, because that's one thing I don't. If it's not an ispression, it's a mispronunciation. So it's fine.
It's a pronunciation.
Oh, there we go. Savage, dub me that for round 2. We'll keep it going. Beautiful poem at the beginning of that movie, but when that music hits, if you're recommending this great movie to somebody, they might think that it's not corny, offset, it doesn't work, but then you start to realize it's such the perfect thing for this intense stuff that's happening. We made the idea when me and my buddy Pal and Beware were sitting together watching it for a little bit. We were talking about how Uncut Gems kind of had the same little approach to it to kind of ease your tension. So was that Franz Zeiserman? Franz
Zeiserman.
How did he do, Savage? How did he do?
It's really interesting kind of music, and I think the reason why it is so interesting is because it was originally supposed to be something way different, but the director Tony Scott, is it Tony Scott Manson? Oh no, Tony Scott. he he went over budget quite a bit, and so they just kind of had to throw some percussion instruments and xylophones together to make the
Very
song.
simple.
And so it's perfect. And
Beautiful
for whatever
mistake.
reason, it kind of reminds me of another Savage favorite, American Beauty. Just kind of the cadence of it and the kind of the interestingness of it.
Very whimsical.
Mm-hmm.
It lightens up the mood a lot, and it helps. I really liked it.
I really like it. I mean, the music in True Romance is super funny. Like there's the early 90s Aerosmith song. Like there's always there's 4 or 5.
There's the Soundgarden song in there.
Right. Yep. There's the club music.
Pretty Lady in the Payphone, I think, is one of them.
Just
There's
interesting.
a song at the end of the movie.
A lot of kind of weird dated 90s-y stuff in it, but I think it's cool, and I think it makes the movie better movie. The sex scene music is so sexy. So sexy. I'm glad the kids didn't come down during that part.
Hello.
So it is ultimately trumped by the Godfather score, though, is it not, Savage?
Yeah, that is the preeminent late 90s, early 2000s ringtone on any drug dealer that you might have known or been associated with. That, yeah, that's a fucking song. It doesn't even need the score. I mean, the score is, window dressing is perfect and timely and beautiful. But I mean, the song itself is the song. That's the movie.
Is it Nino Rota? Is that what it? Probably not.
Yeah. So Coppola brought like a version of the movie to her. To take I just made like the crazy assumption that it is a he. It's a fucking course it is. So he brings the movie to him, like an unfinished version of the movie in Italy. They put that together, and I mean, it's perfect. There couldn't be anything better for that movie.
Except a kiss.
It's a spicy meatball.
Really quick, and tell you a few of the artists that have sampled the Godfather theme. It looks like it's been sampled 39 times. We've got Mobb Deep and Cormega, Kanye West, Tory Lanez, Mac Dre, Lords of Brooklyn, Styles P, San Quinn, and Vogue. That's just the first page. Then you get to some obscure boys, but like that in and of itself is crazy and just tells you how good the music is and really gives you it's got some substance to it and people wanted it.
So 2 movies. Take home a piece of memorabilia from either.
Could I get one of those Chesterfields now?
I have that written down too, literally as one of those Chesterfields.
Nice.
All right. I don't think anybody's going to take this. Drexel's lamp. When he, swinging at him. Beware, and I could put that in the studio. I collect studio items. That's a dope lamp. I could rock those.
I want one of the rots, Dennis Hopper's rots.
The doc is in for a piece of memorabilia.
Yeah, man. You all know that I like a good hat, and so Michael Corleone is wearing a hat in several scenes that I just love. It's so badass, man. And actually, it was called the Homburg hat. Now it's called the Godfather hat. There's obviously different kind of variations, but yeah, just one of those badass brimmed hats.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I have a lot of newspapers from like various events throughout history. I probably have like 40 to 50 different newspapers from like a lot of different weird stuff.
Can we get 5 of them?
Oh, that I have John Lennon's dead. I have Larry Flint. It's technically not a newspaper, but it's a Larry Flint from The Hustler. He released a JFK reward, almost like a Metro Times, like a magazine kind of thing, of all like the different pieces of the JFK assassination. I have Katrina. I have a Chicago Tribune of Obama after he was inaugurated.
Awesome.
And most recently I have the insurrection one. I just picked that up.
No 9/11 or
oh no, I have a really good 9/11 from the Free Press with the falling man. on it. One of the few newspapers in the country to print the fall.
Crazy. That's actually crazy. I like how you put that, though. I got a really good 9/11.
I also have a good Time magazine 9/11. It's a really good thick boy.
Hey, you got a Wings winning the cup in '97.
The only sports one. The only sports one that I have is '84 Tigers. That's it.
Cool Trump stuff.
Just the insurrection one. No, I didn't pick up anything else. So I would want that newspaper, not a copy of it, not a poster of it, not a blah 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 of it. I want the Vito Corleone feared murdered police hunt gunman.
Yeah.
I would want that fucking
very cool.
You go look that up. That's got to be something. Like,
is that the one
where
Michael grabs it on the street? Like finds out.
That's the one. And it flips to the second page, and the second page has like a little more of like the Lord or the whatever he did. Blah, blah,
This is
blah,
another testament to how the time that they're living in. He finds out about his own father's assassination from the
I meant to bring that
newspaper.
up. That's a great point. I meant to bring that up because it is kind of crazy that like he's just kind of not really in the business that much, and just doesn't.
Hey, Mike, where you been?
Calls him. Yeah, exactly. Where you been?
He calls. Where you been?
Everybody did memorabilia, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
I have a nice new rat. Frankie's been petting him downstairs.
Yeah, and a new lamp in the studio. Love that.
I got my last.
You feed him horse meat. And he feeds him nothing but horse. Well, I don't know much about Marlon Brando. I don't know much about the Godfather's facts and stuff. But while doing just a little bit of looking into it, because it really did make an impact on me, I did see, spoiler alert, that Marlon Brando was set up to win, or won Best Actor. And Doc, are we here playing tennis together? Do we know that he actually didn't accept that award, and that was a very political kind of stance at that time that really wasn't well received, and went on to get.
Yeah, do you know who he sent in his stance or like in his?
That I don't know her name. That's why I need some tennis action here.
Her name's Shasheen Littlefeather or Maria Cruz, but a Native American Californian actress.
Yes.
And so. She clarified that when she accepted it, that he respectfully refused the award due to the poor treatment of American Indians in entertainment, as well as the recent Wounded Knee incident. After several jeers were drowned out by applause, Littlefeather further stated that she hoped that she had not intruded and that our hearts and understandings will meet with love and generosity.
She had a speech to read.
Wow.
And, she didn't read it because she had to cut it off short. And he went on later to say that he wouldn't have ever accepted the award 10 years later or whatever, and that it was not just Native Americans were treated wrongly. It was every person of minority at that time in Hollywood. And he went on to really set a stature for that and and won an award. So Doc, why don't you talk about awards for?
Yeah, there's more awkwardness drama at that same award ceremony with Godfather too. So interestingly, obviously Marlon Brando was nominated for Best Actor. There were 3 Best Supporting Actors from Godfather. So Robert Duvall as Tom, James Caan as Sonny, and Al Pacino as Michael. And Al Pacino was upset because technically Al Pacino had more on-screen time than Marlon Brando and should have been also nominated for Best Actor. Al Pacino actually boycotted the awards as well. Crazy. And so who won for best? So
Academy, man, fuck 'em.
Hey, Bafangu, huh?
So this is kind of fucked up too. Godfather was nominated for 11 awards. They won 3. You already mentioned Best Actor. They won for Best Picture, and they won for Best Writing Screenplay. They had those 3 additional Best Supporting Actor noms. Also Best Director, they were nominated for Francis Ford Coppola. They didn't win Best Director, and they didn't win Best Supporting Actor, and even though they had 3 dudes in the ring. But fucking this movie called Cabaret won. Joel Grey won for Best Supporting Actor from Cabaret, and then Bob Fosse won as Best Director from Cabaret over Godfather. So I don't know, man. The Academy's weird.
Don't underestimate Cabaret.
Yeah. Have you seen Cabaret too?
Mulligan.
Yeah, Mulligan Cabaret.
Hey, soon enough, folks. Doc is still holding on to one. Now, I'm gonna guess. I literally know not at all anything. That True Romance went under the radar. It was too quick, too soon, maybe. But that huge cast, maybe not. Let's see, Doc.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, it did go under the radar. It it was a bust at the box office. Unfortunately, it was well received by many critics. Like I actually watched a clip of Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. Gene Siskel did not like it. Roger Ebert actually did like it, stood up for it. But overall, it had pretty good reviews, but box office didn't do well. It's kind of become a cult classic. Awards though, nothing major, but this one stood out to me. So in 1994, it was nominated for MTV Music Award or Music Movie Award nominated for Best Kiss between Slater.
I was gonna make that joke. That sucked. I hate that.
So hold on. So I did a little deal. I was like, who else was now? If they lost, like what was else going on in this category? So you guys want to hear who else was nominated?
We need to steal some MTV categories. Is all I know.
Round 2 will be MTV music categories. Hey, so who else was nominated was Dana Carvey and Kim Basinger from Wayne's World.
Oh yeah, Wayne's World 2.
That's a good one.
That is good.
Swing.
Hey, swing. Who else was nominated was Jason Richter and Keiko as Willie in Free Willy, the kid kissing the whale. They were nominated for Best Kiss.
Oh my God.
And then who won was Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson for Indecent Proposal.
Wow. Well, I asked if you'd fuck a guy in the beginning of the show. I'd probably kiss Leo when he was drowning. That would have definitely won MTV's Best Kiss. I can't really think of a great kiss we've had in our films yet. There's probably been a few sexies. We don't have enough sexy films, though. We've been told that in the past. It's like the only email we got way earlier says you don't have enough sexy films. We're like, man, you could be right, except True Romance is truly a sexy film, and I fucking love it. And I'm fucking voting for it. I swear to God, man, it's always been my vote since I watched it. It's 2 perfect films, and I fucking love it. I think it's a fucking flawless film. I really like it. The Godfather is perfect. I asked questions I knew the answer to. It should age forever. But True Romance is like, it hits my spots, and I fucking love it. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love. Woo! That's it. But Beware, what do you got to say?
Solid choice. I think both movies, and I went back and forth on this actually quite a bit, and it took me a second. I had the moment in the shower where I realized both movies are just dimed out. They're completely different movies. They're obviously, mobster movies kind of in their own rights, but they're quite different movies. And one of them's a big exclamation point, and one of them's a little bit more monotone, but ultimately they're flawless in their own right. And I think that while maybe I might enjoy watching True Romance more often than The Godfather, and like I walked out of that or watched that movie and walked away saying I could watch that movie 100 times. I love that movie. And Godfather, maybe I don't have the time to watch it 100 times.
But I used to fall asleep to some pretty dark movies though. So
fact. But I think that Godfather is just so good. And it's so, going back to the original point at the beginning of the combo, it's so evergreen and it'll always stand the test of time. And so therefore, I mean, out of respect to the Don and the family, I'm definitely going to vote for The Godfather.
Beware.
That's a beautiful choice. Now, if you were going to take one of these films to bed for the rest of your, like to have the last film that you could watch as you were going to sleep, would it be True Romance?
Godfather.
Godfather's, it's a good fall asleep movie.
That's a good falling asleep movie.
It's a dark, slow movie.
That's true. You're in for a lot. I guess I don't want my BT when I'm going to bed. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Cap, save me. Talk about the greatest.
Sure. Yeah, you've pointed out that, although I don't really remember this, of me pointing out True Romance to you guys or introducing it to you guys. I don't remember that.
For sure to me.
Okay. I loved that movie. It
was June 18th, 1999.
Mike, you were looking at the video store. I came in there and said, "What is a good movie?" And you said,
"Blockbuster."
That could have been a true story. I can't say that didn't happen. Super fun movie. It was nice to find like a diamond in the rough like that. That's just something that not really many people have seen or heard of, and see something like that. It's just like a nice surprise, and to see all those. At that point, all those actors had become into major names, and to see all of them in one movie was just like, where did this come from? Super, super duper fun movie. about, like all it is said, love and romance and living fast and becoming an outlaw overnight. Really fun. That being said, I can't deny just the perfectly acted and the perfectly filmed. Like I said, they just don't make movies of this caliber anymore. We're not going to see another movie, especially another 2 movies like The Godfather, probably ever again. It's definitely my vote. It's an awesome, awesome movie. One of my favorites, I would say. I'll pass it to Doc.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, like I watched True Romance before I watched Godfather, and I hadn't seen True Romance in such a long time. I fell in love with it, and after like right when I was watching it, and at the end of it, I was just like, I think I might have to vote for this. Like this is so good, and you've already kind of touched on some of the main points, but the ones that really stood out to me was obviously like we're such huge Tarantino fans, and this was a Tarantino movie, not directed by him, but had his fingerprints all over it, and like that, it's so good. And it's a kind of a fantasy, whimsical kind of love story, quirky, and I don't know. It was just like it checked all those boxes, and I loved it so much. But it got a tough draw, man. It's facing up against probably the best movie ever, and we've ever seen. And I've kind of opened up with this, but like it's 50 years old, and it's still so good. And I'm not just saying the story is good or the acting is good. Like almost every aspect of this movie is so good. And I was wondering, like, why is it so good? Like, why is Godfather still so good? Like, what's about it? And so some of the things that I thought was like, one, it's that the story's timeless. It's not just a story of this Italian, immigrant family. It's a story kind of America, or of like people coming here, working hard, trying to, I was gonna say, work make a fair living, but really it's about, loyalty. It's about respect. It's about family and values in a weird way, but it's also about betrayal and business and power. And like that, those are themes that are so relevant, obviously today, but it is a story about people and about humans, and it's done so well. Like I think Cap said this too, like Michael Corleone's character arc is amazing, and you see it evolve throughout that. And it's just, you can't deny that, man.
So your vote's for Godfather, right?
Yeah.
I do want to go to Savage for his vote too.
The Godfather's a masterpiece, obviously. I'm not a huge Godfather slap either. I've never even seen the sequel, which is still like crazy to me.
I'm out of here.
We knew that.
Yeah, but it's just
you should watch it soon.
I need to watch it soon just 100%. Because the first one's so fresh. I mean, we just finished.
What are you doing tonight, punk?
You see that?
Honestly, hey, you got Frank Severo, Robert De Niro.
Seriously.
So Robert De Niro is in the sequel. Is that okay?
He's
the
main character. It's a young Vito Corleone.
See, I don't know anything about it.
Man, it's fucking awesome.
Should go on fresh.
You should go. Well,
I mean, fresh. Well,
I won't say anything, but obviously that's not a spoiler, right?
No.
Okay.
I think I've heard that. I just didn't.
If you don't know that by now, you're
yeah. It's fine. It's a fifth, like you said. The first movie is 50 fucking years old. It's not. There's nothing as a spoiler anymore. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Rosebud was the sled. It's like, so yeah, it's a fucking movie, man. And I maybe I am a Godfather slap. Maybe I am a mobster movie slap, and I didn't think I was.
Not. You haven't seen Godfather 2 yet.
No, I'm not.
I'm smart, doesn't it?
I'm obviously not, but maybe I'm like converting to one at 30. My mid to late, we'll say mid 30s.
You're gonna love it.
Really good Savage character transformation. My new favorite character is Savage.
And
turned into Michael Corleone's character. He is the guy.
Hey, 2 weeks he's dressed in a trench coat, one of those fucking hats that Adam gave him.
True Romance.
Married.
True Romance got an unfair deal.
It really did.
That movie could have gone so much farther,
and it should.
And I really think it should have, but my vote's obviously being for The Godfather. That being said, it's gonna be The Godfather versus The Shining. So good luck with
Check it
that
out.
one.
Well, check it out. That's a
Ooh.
great matchup, actually.
I like that
We
one.
might just have to let Stones lie, but Doc and I were talking about in the second round there being a topic, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek of Replace the Sweep, a movie that clearly is just going to sweep because it's great, and it is that. It's kind of funny that Godfather is rated and is technically the best movie of all time. It's almost like I almost don't want it on the list because we've just showed you that it is the greatest movie of all time. I honestly kind of want to take it off so we can see the rest of our other movies, not like a mulligan, but Doc and I were talking about this. I might be frazzled, folks. I tried to do something like this last week. This could be unprofessional. Doc, play tennis with me. What am I doing?
So real quick, I want to answer something that you said first to justify why Godfather belongs on our list, because I feel like without Godfather, you don't have Goodfellas, you don't have Sopranos, which are all these movies that are so influential to us right now. Like you see the anatomy of these beautiful series and movies that we love, and so you have to pay respects to your elders, essentially. That said, what all it is just brought up about save the sweep for kind of a preview at what second round might look like, and we've talked about this a little bit on the thread, but also kind of this resurrection status of if we get a matchup. We all had mulligans this first round, an option for a mulligan. We're thinking for the second round, once we get into that, we've got.
If you don't use it, you get to resurrect something in the second round.
Well,
I don't know. I'm making rules up here.
Yeah. But like in the second round, we each get an option to maybe do this because now we've got these awesome movies. They've passed the first round, and we might even get even more unfair matchups, perhaps. And so maybe if either we fear a sweep or we just think that there's another movie out there that's better, but we have to select it from either movies that have lost in the first round or movies that were
mulliganed. Yeah.
Yep.
I want somebody to email us that really is listening to the show about what we could do. Really, throw us an email at number 4 rthreadpodcast@gmail.com and let us know if you think that we should do something like that or if the mulligan's going to get pulled. But Godfather's obviously going on. It's going to conquer and destroy movies because it's flawlessness. And True Romance is just something from our generation that I have a really, really soft spot for now and forevermore. Like Beware said, I could watch it 1,000 times, and hopefully I do. Let's go to a happy tune, a hat song.
Hey, all it is, can you pull this one out of a Hamburg?
Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that.
Excuse me?
Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Let's go do that. Man, there's not many left in here, is there, guys? I have one in my hands right now, though, and this.
I know what it's gonna be.
I know what it's gonna be too.
You guys want to call it? You want to see if you got it? It's that time.
I want to. Yeah, I want to.
Let's do it. Go ahead.
Can I go first?
Pass it around, please.
I think it's gonna be, and I've been waiting for this one. Silence of the Lambs versus Apocalypse Now. That's what I think you have.
I hope it's. I don't hope it is, but I think it's gonna be Heat versus Memento.
I hope it's not the one with Requiem for a Dream, and if it is, I hope Doc uses his mulligan.
Me too.
Me too.
Segue into the Doc.
Hell or High Water versus Requiem for a Dream.
I will say that is the matchup where I have that is where I'm going to try to use my mulligan.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a guess because I have it pinched in my thumb, and I'm actually pinching it really hard. That was intense.
Did your eyes just dilate?
Ooh, it's right side up, upside down. And I did already see it. I saw it. Somebody called it, I think. And this might have been, I've been thinking this for the last couple weeks. Available on Netflix, that's for sure. I don't know about the other one. Magnolia versus There Will Be Blood.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, man.
I forgot about this matchup.
I love this.
I'm excited.
I've been wanting to watch
this.
There Will Be Blood.
So have I, man. I haven't seen
It's
that
on.
in so
It's on
long.
Netflix. I started reading Oil Off Cap's recommendation. It's a kind of a slow book, but it is not a slow movie, folks. Oh,
Hey, these are
Yes,
some
it
long
is.
movies. These are long movies.
This is a Paul
too.
Thomas Anderson matchup, right? Both of you
Yes.
guys, did you say
Movies
that?
are slow.
Yes.
I
I
love
do
it.
feel
So
like
is the
There Will Be
aesthetic.
Blood is a slow movie, though.
It's
It's
slow.
so fucking
so
good.
slow.
Ugh, I have no idea what I'm gonna vote for. Like I know these movies both very, very well, and I have no clue what I'm gonna vote for, which I love that.
Love the excitement. I love
It's an
that.
excellent matchup. Two great
Yeah.
movies.
Wow.
This is the first time that a director has gone up against himself.
No, we had Goodfellas. The first was
Scorsese's.
Departed. Yeah, we had Scorsese.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Did we have a
Goodfellas
Fincher?
won.
Did we have a Fincher? No, we didn't have a Fincher.
No, we like almost did if one of my mulligans would have went through, but it didn't. I think I tried to. I can't remember. Who gives a fuck?
I think I remember one of your mulligans was a Silver Linings Playbook.
You're right. I think that I thought
You've done 2 though. I think you also did 13 billboards or 13. There's 13 of them now. You did 3 billboards, or maybe was it Gone Girl? Or
Yeah, that was.
I tried to do Gone Girl.
Gone Girl.
We've seen worse movies on this list than Gone Girl. That's for sure.
1000%.
I have more taste in my penis.
Agreed.
Folks, what episode are we going to do next week? Is it God, I don't know. 27?
This is 25. Yeah.
So 26. 26. We only go to 32, and then we go to round 2. Magnolia versus There Will Be Blood. Yeah, man.
I can't help it. I love you.
Forrest, you don't know what love is.
I'm not going to debate you, Jerry. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and debate.
You're a bald-faced liar. A fucking liar.
I mean, God forbid they should make a mistake and forget to steal.
I will not apologize for what I want.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I drink it up. Don't bully me.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
They're okay.
Either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Hold on to your butts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Our Thread Podcast, bringing our content to you, featuring all it is.
It's official, old buddy. Who has been.
Beware.
From then on, he was known as Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
The Doc.
You're the doc, Doc.
The Cap.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask? Pig fuck.
And myself, Savage.
I'm 6'5", 220, and there's 2 of them.